Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to take you along with me as I plan and prep for the week. Something I get asked a lot is like how I store all of these things, how I stay organized, what I'm pulling from as I'm doing morning time and things like that. So I wanted to show you my very unorganized, imperfect system. This basket is like jam-packed. This is quote unquote my morning basket. Not really morning basket, but the basket that I pull from on a daily basis for whatever units and books and devotionals we're working on. There's a lot of stuff that just got thrown in here, like this creative writing notebook. Sometimes I'll stick things in this basket that I just want to remember to use, and it doesn't really belong there. So I'm putting that in another cubby. We are still working through that not consumed Bible study. If there's a read aloud that I want to add in that week or the following week or something that I want to remember to use, I will put it in here. We just finished up that library book, so I need to actually put that out in where I put all of my library books. That magazine doesn't go in there. We have finished this unit, so this really needs to come out. And I need to figure out where I'm going to store this, probably in the basement in a bin for future years if I choose to use this with my younger kids. For right now, this bottom shelf is where I've been putting those things until I transfer them, and it's so full I can't even fit this in here. So as you can see, this is not a perfect system. This little basket has little books and things for my littles, and then also my 8-year-old has some stuff in there. So lots of random things that really do need to be pulled out. And so I'm working on that before I start organizing and planning for the week. This little China unit study we still have not gotten to, but I want to within the next month or so. This Bear Grylls book stuck in here is one that we finished that really needs to just come out of this basket, and I need to figure out where I'm going to put this series. So for now, I'm just putting it on this shelf until I reorganize everything. So I'm leaving the China one in there because I want to do it still. And then I have the survival study we're still doing, my parent guide for the Peaceful Preschool, and my parent guide for Playful Pioneers are some things that I will be pulling along with another unit that we're going to get started with that I'll show you here in a second. So these I'm pulling out because I'm going to look over the week and decide exactly what we're going to do and just get us planned and prepped for that. This health and the physical body unit from The Good and the Beautiful is one that I want to get to starting this week. So I'm going to pull this out as well and take a look at it. So I have my planner, I have some tea, I have a little candle lit. It is Sunday evening, and I am just trying to get myself a little bit organized for the week. Last week, I didn't get a chance to do this because we were away, and this week, I really just kind of want to regroup and reset and have a plan in place because we have a lot going on in the next couple of weeks with traveling and things, and so I want to feel somewhat organized, and especially because we are working in 2 new unit studies, I want to make sure that I have an idea of what we're doing. So I just have a pretty basic planner from For the Love of Homeschooling. I like to keep it pretty simple, and I'm just starting with writing in things that are already scheduled. So field trips that we're taking, a trip that we're taking, we have forest school on Friday, and then we're going away for the weekend for my oldest son's birthday weekend. And so I like to put those things in first and then fill in with things like our curriculum or books we're going to read and things like that. We also have a field trip on Wednesday this week, so I'm writing in that as well. This is to Old Sturbridge Village. And because Sturbridge Village is in Massachusetts, we are going to just do a little bit of a study of Massachusetts through the Exploring the States guide from the Waldock Way. So at this bottom section is kind of like my running to-do list for the week of like things that I want to get to. I'm also adding Playful Pioneers there because that will also be one of the main things that we do. And it will be I week for us, so I'm writing that down. because we're going through the alphabet, as I mentioned before, with my 3 and 4-year-old. And then we're also going to be starting Survive Off the Land and the Health and the Human Body Unit from The Good and the Beautiful. So starting Monday, I want to start with Playful Pioneers. So I'm writing that down, but I want to look ahead a little bit and see what exactly we have going on in there this week, and what I might want to print, because I don't always print everything. Sometimes I print certain things. So just looking at where we left off, because I can't quite remember if we left off at the end of week 18 or if we are ready to start week 19, which I think it looks like we are ready to start week 19. I'm pretty sure we finished up everything from week 18. So we will be doing devotions, and then we have House on Plum Creek as our read aloud. We're doing some narrations, and then also we'll be reading Brave Clara Barton. And then a lot of times I will just tuck in the things I've printed out into like wherever we left off, kind of like a bookmark. But there are some things in here that like we've already done or we didn't get to, and I'm okay with us not doing. So I'm just going to pull those out. It's just extra poetry that we didn't necessarily get to. And then Picture Books in Winter. This poem I had printed ahead of time. And then I printed out some of the art studies for future weeks ahead of time on cardstock so that I had them just ready to go. Usually I'll print a few weeks of those at a time just to kind of have them ready, since I had to, change out the regular paper to cardstock anyway. I figured I'll print more than one sheet. And then underneath I have the Pennsylvania pages, because we will be going to Pennsylvania next month. So we'll get to that towards the end of the month. I just tucked it back there. And then these are just ones that we didn't get to that I was going to have for my littles to keep them busy with the cows. So I'll keep them in here even though we're past that week, in case they just need something in the moment to color and kind of keep them occupied. So I'll tuck them in there for now. And then anytime it says illustrated copy work, typically that is something that you can print out from the student workbooks. So I am going to print that out. The other things are like poetry copy work, which you could either print out or not. And then oral narration and written narrations, which often I have them do in just their notebooks. But I am going ahead into my file that I have on my phone and finding the pages that we need for week 19 that I want to print. Like I said, I don't always print everything. My older kids, I have them typically do it in cursive. Sometimes they don't want the printout, especially my older boys. They just want to do it freehand and practice their cursive that way. But oftentimes my 8-year-old does like me to print this out for her. So I'm just printing a couple copies of this, and then if I need an extra one, if all 3 of my older kids want to use it, I can always just print an extra when we're doing it. But typically I feel like only 2 of them end up wanting it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and print 2 of those. And then I'm going to open up the Kinder version. So there are multiple different versions. There's the elementary version, there's the Kinder one, there's the cursive one, and then there's one other one. So it's very similar, except it just has one word, like 3 different words for them to trace, just single words that correlate with the illustration, and then they can color and trace. My 3 and 4-year-old, I will print one for each of them so that they can have something to feel included. This is not something that I require. I just have it available for them so that they feel included. So that's really all I have to do to prep for Playful Pioneers. And honestly, there's been days that I've done it in real time and just opened up to whatever the next lesson was and printed things out if I needed to, or just had them notebook in their notebooks without the printouts. So now I'm just going through the Peaceful Preschool, and I do the same thing with tucking things in like a bookmark. So I had these extra printables from For the Love of Homeschooling A to Z learning packs, and it was H week last week, so I had some activities for them. They only did a couple. I could toss them, but I'm going to tuck them in here for extra activities, again, if they're interested or need something to kind of keep them occupied while we're doing morning time. And then I'm just looking through the book list for if I want any books for iWeek that I can order from the library. And then the same thing if I'm going to use the scripture from iWeek, but I think I'm just going to stick with the one from my Pip and J papery cards, ABC scripture cards. Sometimes I do both scriptures and then sometimes I just pick one. I think this week I'm just going to keep it simple and do the one from my Pip and J papery. So I'm just looking through to see the overview of the week, the different things that we'll have going on. So I actually don't think I'm going to grab any of these books. I'm just going to use our own books. But as you can see, there are some phonics activities in here that I really like making the glitter glue letters and doing the salt tray. Those things we will just sprinkle throughout the week. I don't worry about doing any of these things necessarily on the day that they are recommended. I just like to browse through this guide for ideas. So I've mentioned in previous videos where I've just been sharing that we started using the Peaceful Preschool, that it is just something that I am pulling from loosely. I think this is an amazing guide, especially if you don't have older kids and you really need something to guide the things that you're doing. You could do all of these things or more of them, and you really use it to structure life skills and experiences and phonics and math and all of those things. But I feel like a lot of these things we cover in other ways. So I don't worry about it as much with my 3 and 4-year-old being the youngest two of 5. So have been weeks that we've done way more from the Peaceful Preschool than what it looks like I'll be doing this week. But it just really depends on the week, what we have going on, what the recommended activities are, and all of that. As you can probably see, the Peaceful Preschool is set up much like Playful Pioneers in terms of the weekly overview and the daily schedule and all of that. So I really do like the simplicity of you can get a week's view and then also see day by day what they recommend. What I have been doing every single week, though, is printing out the printable letters, both the large uppercase and lowercase, and then the smaller uppercase and lowercase in both print and cursive. We've done many activities with these each week. Sometimes I even print out more than one copy so that they can do their glitter glue letters, so that they can use them to guide them when they do the salt tray activity and all of that. And I print these on cardstock typically so that they can do things like glitter glue or glue objects onto them that correlate with the letter and things like that. So that is everything that I plan to print from Playful Pioneers and the Peaceful Preschool. So I have my cursive copy worksheets and my print Kinder ones. And I'm just going to tuck these in kind of like a bookmark, like I mentioned, with these other papers that we're going to be using, like the art and different things like that. And then I'll do the same for the eye printables from the Peaceful Preschool. So these two main ones do not need to be cut at all. But I'm just going to take the quick minute to cut these so that they're ready to go. So tomorrow when I want to use them, I don't have to take a minute to go grab my paper cutter and cut them and then have littles getting squirrely. Sometimes those few minutes to prep beforehand really can make a difference. As I've mentioned many times before in previous videos, I do have them start off with us most of the time. For our morning time, because we start with our Bible time and our devotions and oftentimes a hymn and some prayer, and I don't really want them to miss that. And then if they stay for read alouds and other things, great. But I typically try to have some kind of things for them to color or some sensory play, or I'll put these letters out with their salt tray. So they have something to do with their hands as well. But then I typically just let them kind of saunter off whenever they want to play. I don't force them to stay at the table longer than is reasonable for 3 and 5 years old. So I'm just taking a look through this Survive Off the Land unit from Campfire Curriculums because I haven't looked at it in a while since I printed it and bound it. And I actually didn't print the whole thing and bind the whole thing because the introduction and the first lesson is pretty long. And I figured I would just add to it as I go, just unzip it and then add in pages as I go. You don't even have to print Campfire Curriculums because there really isn't worksheets for the most part. You could use your laptop or a tablet or even read off of your phone, but I really am a hard copy kind of person, so I like to do that. And then I'm also taking a look at the health and the physical body unit from the good and the beautiful to just get a feel for this as well. I'll probably start out by reading Story of a Cold, since we are coming up on cold and flu season, and just looking to see if there are any supplies that I need to grab before we get started with the unit. We will probably only do lesson 1 from this week, and then the same thing for the Survive Off the Land. So I'm not worried about getting super far into these. I would just like to start both of them, and I do feel like we will find some interesting connections between the two. I do love that there's nothing to print for this because I do have the student workbooks, and so I'm just taking a peek, but I believe they only have 1 page each that they'll do. Looks like kind of just a cut and paste in order type of activity. So just simple, which I like because because we do so many different studies and we're really eclectic in the way that we pull resources throughout the day, the week, the month, the year even. For stuff like this, I don't like it to take us a ton of time, but I do like that there's this extension information for my older 2 boys to really dig deeper. So I'm just going to add in some things to my planner that I want us to do. This Story of a Cold looks pretty in-depth, which I actually like that, which is kind of opposite of what I just said. But when I'm reading picture books to all of my kids, I really like for my older kids to have some depth to what we're reading so that they can really learn. And it's okay to just enjoy a fun read aloud, but it's really great when they can dig in. Like, I love this connection here. We're reading Brave Clara Barton as part of our Playful Pioneers. That version, my 3rd grader did read already, so I may actually pick up the one from the library that I ordered that's a little bit more in depth and looks really beautiful. So we're going to read a Clara Barton book, The Story of a Cold, as kind of an intro to that health and the human body unit, and then the Owl book by Gail Gibbons, and then we'll also do the Owl Pellets activity that was in our Woodland Knowledge Crate, because we are currently reading October, and we've been reading a little bit about owls because owls are in the book October, so I like drawing that connection. And then because we are going to Sturbridge Village on Wednesday, and that's in Massachusetts, we are going to do a little bit of learning about Massachusetts from the Traveling Through the States unit from the Waldock Way. So I'm just printing out the nature study sheet that has the state bird, the state tree, and the state flower, and then going in and printing out the student pages. So I like this because it has the coloring page, which my 3, 5, and 8-year-olds really love, but then it also has the state profile page and the flag page, which is really interesting, and then the nature profile. And so I print these out, but then I give them the option because we paste them into the notebook either way. So for my older 3, 8, 12, and 16, I give them the option if they want to use these sheets or if they just want to notebook and capture their learning about the state into their notebooks. And it varies which one they choose to do. So I just like to print them so I have them. I'm just taking a look to see what books I might want to grab from the library. I do have this 50 states book, so this is kind of where we start because it has a lot of information and it's a nice big visual and just simple to pull out and not have to do a lot of prep work. Even if I just used this, I would be okay with that, but I'm going to see what my library has available to see if it's worth ordering a couple more books. I like to, when a topic is new, have some books just out on the table for the kids to explore. But if that's not a possibility, then I'm not that worried about it because I wasn't looking for a really in-depth study of Massachusetts, really just an overview to familiarize ourselves with it and have some context for when we visit. The main book I'm looking for is M is for Mayflower. That series is my favorite. Like we did M is for Maple Syrup for Vermont. So M is for maple syrup, a Vermont alphabet. M is for Mayflower, a Massachusetts alphabet. And I love the 50 states book because it covers all states. And then those kind of go into detail about just the individual states. And so they don't have it available at the library. So I am going to just see on Amazon how much it is and when it would come and if it's worth grabbing a copy or not. And it looks like it's more than I would want to spend, and it's not going to come until after we would visit anyway. So I'm going to make the choice to skip it, and maybe we will read it in the future. Like I said, since we're not doing a super in-depth study of Massachusetts, I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so I am almost done. Just going to take a few last minute notes before I kind of wrap up this time for the night and put things away. I may or may not leave out some of these things for the morning that I know we're going to start with in the morning, which is sometimes something I'll do. So I did take some final notes on things that I wanted to remember to do, like making elderberry syrup and elderberry bars. Mostly this section is for things that I want to do in our homeschool, but making elderberry things is one of the things that I want them to learn how to do and for us to do together. So you can see I have Monday pretty much filled up with our keepsake Bible reading, Playful Pioneers, Massachusetts, Clara Barton, October, Five Little Peppers, and If You Lived Here. So that is plenty, and anything we don't do, I will just transfer over to the next day, which is why I have a few things down that I want to do for Tuesday, but I will wait and see what we get to. And then we really only have Thursday other than Monday and Tuesday to really do academics. And then as you can see, I just have math and language arts written down for my older three because that's really all I'm worried about them getting to tomorrow, since we will do so much together. Okay, friends, so it is Monday morning and I just finished resetting our playroom. Typically, I like to do that over the weekend. But as I mentioned, we had gone away and I only had so much time, and I'm not going to stress myself out over things like switching over the playroom. But I just wanted to show you, I moved the shelf back over to this window. I like to switch things around, and I did this kind of like basic and more of a review of letters and numbers and just practice of those things, as opposed to a specific focus on the letter I. So I love these little wooden puzzles. I got them from Amazon, and then I put all of the alphabet acorns up through I into that basket so that they could kind of review. And then I added in just some love every like experiment and movement activities. That's my little guy throwing those bean bags back. So just some general things for them this week, because I know it'll probably stay for more than I week because we have so many things going on. And then I have just the chalkboards out for them and tracing boards and alphabet books, things that they can just grab on their own to learn and explore with. And I didn't change a ton on our bookshelves. I just swapped a few books out, and then we have just our slow down books, National Park book. Look how beautiful the foliage is outside. We're going to be spending a lot of time outside, and we don't spend a ton of formal time on these preschool academics. I just like to have opportunities for them if they are interested to jump and move around and play. The simple act of switching things around in here really does make a huge difference in how much time they spend in here. And I just love having this place where they can play and explore, and everything in here is for them to touch. So I hesitate to call it a homeschool room because they really just play in here, but they learn too. And I don't even really have to prompt them anymore about their letters on the wall. They get excited to see their new letters to trace. I have our scripture up there for the week, which we'll memorize and try to break down and apply to our lives. And then over on the art station, I do have that 50 States book opened to Idaho, because when it's possible, I like to have it open just to a state that starts with the letter of the week for them to explore on their own. I have our Pip and J papery scripture card. Interrupting is our character trait from our September & Co cards. And that is pretty much it for this week. Okay, so it is Tuesday morning. I have my coffee on the front porch and my planner, and I thought it might be helpful to give you a recap of what we actually got to yesterday. So I actually ended up swapping what we did for our Bible time. So originally I had my keepsake Bible for Monday and my brother's keeper for Tuesday, and I swapped them. Then we did Playful Pioneers. We learned about some Massachusetts stuff. We didn't read Clara Barton, so I'm putting it on today. We read October. We didn't read Five Little Peppers, so I'm putting that on today. And then we did finish the book If You Lived Here. We had just a couple more pages. So then for today, we'll read from our My Keepsake Bible. We'll keep going with Playful Pioneers. We're going to start maybe the health unit. I'll wait and see how much we get to that I wanted to get to yesterday. And then possibly survive off the land. And then again, whatever we don't get to will get shifted to Thursday because we do have a field trip tomorrow. So I just got everything set out, our My Keepsake Bible. I do have my brother's keeper out because I will have them, I'll give these to them so that they can do the next one so that we can go over it tomorrow. I did just pull out Created for Work, which I did not plan, but we haven't done that in a while and I want to do it with my older boys. I have this Massachusetts book out because we'll do a little bit more with Massachusetts today. This is the Survive Off the Land unit, which we may or may not get to. I have it out just in case. And then this is the Clara Barton book that I ended up deciding on. I did pick it up from the library yesterday and it looks great, especially for my older kids. It has a lot of her own writings as some of the wording for the book. And I think it's going to be a really great addition. I have my owl book that came in my woodland knowledge crate as well as the owl pellet kit. So I'm excited about that. And then this reading is kind of what we're using for our Playful Pioneers Bible time. So we'll kind of hit Bible in a couple different ways today. We'll do Playful Pioneers. And then I wanted to show you what I have set up. I did put their notebooks back out, just where they left off with their Massachusetts notebooking yesterday. I have the salt tray out, which looks like somebody already started. And so they'll kind of start by finishing up some things that they started yesterday. My oldest is working on his independent work, his math. So he got to start on that. And then when he finishes up, we will jump into some of these things. Sometimes while we wait, I'll let them get started. Some of the younger ones on a more hands-on activity if they're getting antsy. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do our owl pellet kit, which we've been really excited to do. I'm telling you, if you have not tried knowledge crates, specifically this new woodland crate is so much fun. Let me know in the comments if this has been helpful, getting some insight into how I plan. But also keep in mind, every week is different. So some weeks I do all of this, some I do some of it, and some weeks I do none of it. I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos, and until next time, stay rooted.